Hey guys. This is part 7 of What If Sarada went back in time and met Team 7. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are God.
Chapter 22. Naruto. Kakashi snaps, feeling Sasuke go rigid beneath his grasp at the sight of Sakura staggering to one side. Naruto's face immediately shifts from rage to dismay, and he shrinks back in shock at what he has just done. Shit! Sakura, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to. Are you okay? The girl doesn't answer right away, which makes Kakashi uneasy. That feeling increases when she straightens up and shakes off the blow. A tiny trail of blood trickles from the corner of her mouth and down her chin. Do you think this is helping? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Somehow, it's worse than if she were yelling. Getting angry, fighting each other like two little boys. To everyone's surprise, she throws a glare Sasuke's way as well. How does this help? When has this ever helped? Her voice rises here. You are going to get yourselves, and the rest of us, killed with all this stupid fighting. If you, both of you, don't knock it off, I swear I will throw you into one of those time windows myself and let you get eaten by dinosaurs or something. So help me. And then all of this is moot because you'll be dead and the world will end because of your stupid, idiotic fighting. She finishes her angry diatribe, out of breath and furious. Both boys appear shamefaced. I'm sorry, Naruto says, and then groans angrily. It's just, this whole thing rubs me the wrong way. It feels wrong, running from a fight. Don't you guys feel it too? It doesn't matter what we feel, Sasuke says. A shinobi never shows their feelings, no matter the circumstances. Feelings are a weakness that only clouds their judgment and weakens their sense of duty. Now that's definitely bullshit, Naruto retorts. Do you think we could have done half the stuff we have done already if we didn't have feelings? We'd have all been dead since the land of waves. This is a very different occasion, Kakashi replies. Yeah, well, it's not like they've got time travel in the Hokage handbook. Naruto snaps. If I was Granny Tsunade, or whoever's in charge in this time, I'd let whoever was actually out in the mess of things make the decisions. And right now, that's you, Kakashi-sensei. Actually, Sakura says quietly, no, it's not. This causes everyone in the group to glance up in surprise. Shaking a little, Sakura draws herself up straighter. Her knees wobble, but she stands firm. You put me in charge, Kakashi-sensei, she reminds him. So you don't get to make this decision. Wait, what? Naruto asks, shooting Sasuke a confused look. His teammate's face, however, opens in dawning comprehension. That's right, he says slowly, and his mouth tilts slightly upward as he glances from his teammate to his teacher. You ceded command to a subordinate in the field, and until she officially gives it back to you, she's still in charge. He folds his arms across his chest, now smirking fully in triumph. Naruto demands, when was this? And why would you put her in charge? What's that supposed to mean? Sakura snaps, recovering herself from her surprise. It was before, when he got stabbed by Mumie, Sasuke answers. And it's because she's smart and can think analytically. Sakura's cheeks flood with warmth, and her heartbeat picks up. Sasuke rarely acknowledges her like this. Yeah, but so are why. I mean, yeah, okay, that makes sense, Naruto says hastily before something vaguely complimentary comes out about Sasuke. Definitely a better option than you, seeing as how you're such a hot-headed D. Naruto, Sakura cuts him off sharply, and narrows her eyes. Dinosaurs, he pales, and she fights down the compulsion to pump her fist in the air in triumph. Instead, she turns her attention to Kakashi, trying to gauge his facial reaction to this challenge of his authority. Think this through, Sakura, Kakashi warns. Is this really a decision you want the responsibility of making? Sakura opens her mouth to answer, but stops as the words get stuck in her throat. Her momentary bravery wavers, and she shoots a look at Sasuke as if he will have an answer for her. Their eyes meet for a beat, and she can see that he is just as conflicted about the whole thing as she and Naruto are. Every shred of Sakura, every cell of her being, wants to turn around and go looking for Sarada right now. That girl, who in a matter of hours Sakura found herself so keen to protect, is out in this chaos, preparing to put herself in danger because there's no other choice. Her future child, who is the best of what she will one day be and the best of what Sasuke will one day be. Sakura wants to save her, but considering all the close calls that they have already had today, every one of them has almost been killed at least twice. That would be more than a gamble. It's only pure luck that they're all still more or less intact. If they were to run back now, If something happens to me, if one of us, or both of us gets hurt badly, or killed, she won't exist, Sakura whispers. Ever. I know, Sasuke tells her, and she hears the strain in his voice. It's not just us, she goes on, gaze falling on Naruto. You never had a family either. And if something happens to you now, you'll never get to have that. You can't miss what you never had, Naruto says, trying to sound blasé about the entire thing. Besides, if we keep hiding it and the world gets changed, we won't know any better. And if we go back and fight but get killed, we won't know any better. That's the whole thing, right? If we fail, then nothing matters, but if we don't. He trails off, his usual devil-may-care grin taking over. So I say, screw it, Naruto's right, Sasuke says, eliciting a surprised exclamation from the blonde boy. This whole situation is uncertain. In fact, the only thing that we know for sure is this: Sarada and the others exist. Right now, they're real and not some arbitrary future. And they're heading into something they're definitely not prepared for, and probably outnumbered. I mean, we don't even know if future Sasuke and future me got the message, right? So, they might not even have backup. Sakura bites her lip, knowing exactly how the boys feel about this. It should make her feel more confident that they all think the same as she does, but it doesn't, because she knows their motivations are as selfish as her own. Sasuke never had this chance before. He wasn't able to save his family, and he's doomed to find and kill his only brother. The only saving grace from that horrible future is Sarada. And Naruto, he's never even known his family existed, but today he got a taste of that. He has heard truths about his parents, and he got to see the son he will one day have. If Chicken's plan isn't stopped, either of them will ever have those chances. And yet, it's not just about our future kids. There are entire generations that might wink out of existence. If that happens, and Sakura's decision was to make a run for it instead of staying to defend their future, it's as if she's spitting on them. As if she's saying that those generations aren't worth fighting for, which goes against not only her own heart, but against the lessons she has learned since she started on the path of becoming a shinobi. If they stay inside the bubble, in spite of the paradox and the potential danger, if they go down fighting, there's a chance, however slim, that they can save it all. And if they don't, at least they'll die protecting their children, the world, and the countless lives that have played out both past and future. Sakura's hands ball into fists. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura begins, swallowing a few times to get rid of the dryness in her mouth. Even if we leave this place and limit the effects of the paradox, Jiken and Taisoko might still unravel it. Our world, it isn't perfect. We've all had bad things happen to us. Or to people we care about. But there's peace. It's not a bad world. And if it all changes, it won't just be our lives and futures that are different. In fact, we might never even be born. She takes a shuddering breath. So if we're going to die or wink out of existence anyway, then we might as well be going down fighting and helping the people we care about, instead of running away. Hell yeah! Naruto cheers. What she said, Sasuke smirks and nods. Once again, the three of them stand united, and Sakura flashes back to that day so long ago when they first became a team. The three of us are one. Kakashi's eyes narrow, and his Sharingan spins lazily, as though he is considering the merits of knocking them all out and dragging them out of the time bubble by force. Are you saying, he begins slowly, looking from Sakura to the two boys, that you're going to put the fate of the world, possible all of reality, in the hands of a 13-year-old girl? Better than a science experiment with a split personality, Naruto points out. It's a 3-on-1 staring match for several tense seconds. And then, Kakashi's face clears and his eyes crinkle in a smile. Alright then. It takes a moment for that to sink in. What? All three kids chorus. What the hell was that all about? Naruto demands. Are you trying to give me a heart attack or something? Sakura yells. I had to be sure you understood what you're saying, Kakashi tells them in his teacher voice. The exact magnitude of what screwing this up could mean. What you're potentially giving up if we fail. Of course, not that what I have to say really means anything. After all, as Sasuke said, I did hand over control in the field. Who am I to argue with the rules? Usually the first in line, Sasuke grumbles. At this point, none of them should be surprised at Kakashi's unorthodox approach to anything, and yet it always catches them off guard. So, Naruto says, grinning at Sakura, a keen gleam in his eyes. What do we do? She hesitates, the magnitude of this decision washing over her again. The fate of the world is literally resting on her shoulders right now. Usually it's her teammates that shoulder the burdens and make the hard decisions, but for once she's the one with the final say. Then she squares her shoulders and adopts what she hopes is a confident look. We go save our kids, she declares clearly. Alright, if that's settled with our fearless leader, Kakashi says, let's go. Follow me and stay in formation. Avoid any portals and be prepared just to move past anything or anyone we encounter. We can't afford to be sidetracked. The boys consider this, and Kakashi is proud to see that they actually look to Sakura for the cue here. For her part, she appears to weigh his words carefully, before nodding. Which at least shows that heightened emotions aside, she's still able to think logically. Best quality in a leader is knowing when to follow. Kakashi might be humoring Sakura's reminder about the chain of command, but he is the adult here and unquestionably the one with most experience. As much as he wanted to make sure his students were fully dedicated and cognizant of what altering the mission could mean, he's still the one that is going to have to ensure the least amount of casualties as possible. I hope. Let's kick ass! Naruto cheers. Sasuke rolls his eyes. TCH. The four of them take off, hurrying back the way they came and quickly reaching the edge of the forest. Flora and fauna fade into the barren rock of the valley. Crossing it is probably the fastest way to get to their destination, but Kakashi calls for them to halt before they begin to cross. Wait, he says, sensing that there is something off. The kids pause behind him, and he takes a few tentative steps forward, then promptly retreats again. Do you feel that? Kakashi asks, glancing behind him. Sakura and Naruto adopts twin looks of confusion, but Sasuke's frown is one of contemplation. Copying Kakashi's tentative step forward, he wrinkles his nose. It feels like the air right before a thunderstorm. Like a bolt of lightning is about to hit. As the only other lightning user, he's the only one that can sense it so easily. Kakashi nods. That's what I thought, he says. The space before them feels primed somehow, charged even. That might be the quickest route for us to take, but I don't want to run the risk of a portal opening up anywhere along the way. Especially with that chance being so high. What do you mean? Sakura asks. Because as far as either of us can see, there's nothing out there, Sasuke says, Sharingan spinning as he studies the valley. With the air static like this, balance of probability says it's just a matter of time before something opens up out there. Considering how thick the air is, I don't think it'll be just the one, or it will be a large one, Kakashi says. And all we need is for the wrong window to open in front of us. Yeah, like that weird window with the bright light and psycho trees, Naruto shudders. Exactly. I'm going to scout how far around this rough patch goes. Maybe we'll be lucky and we can just go around it. Sasuke, you and Sakura stay here and keep an eye on everything in case something shifts. Naruto, you come on. Huh? Why me? I can't see anything. No, but your unique abilities may come in handy, Kakashi says, already heading off. Hey, wait, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto yelps, scrambling after the Jonin. They flit away, following along the line where forest begins to fade into rocky ground. As their shapes become smaller and smaller, Sakura and Sasuke are left standing beside one another in silence. It's not lost on either of them that this is the first time since this whole ordeal began that they have been left alone together. Sasuke's eye twitches, a sudden suspicion taking shape. He didn't actually need Naruto along, did he? Sakura asked quietly. Evidently Sasuke's not the only one that doesn't 100% trust their sensei's motives. No, he answers shortly. Kakashi is a meddling fool. He peeks out of the corner of his eye to consider Sakura, who is holding her elbows close and blushing. She notices his attention and glances up, but he quickly looks away, focusing on the space in front of them. Something nameless ripples lazily in the air, detectable only because of the Sharingan, but nothing happens. Turning to meet Sakura's stare, he's just in time to catch her looking quickly away, cheeks even darker than they were. This is ridiculous. The world is ending, and yet they might as well be playing footsie. One of them is going to have to address the issue, or else agree to ignore it, but right now is not the time to be unfocused. Resigning himself to the unnecessary and uncomfortable conversation, Sasuke opens his mouth to speak. So, apparently Sakura has decided to be the one who breaks the silence. So, Sasuke repeats nonsensically, pinning his eyes to the space in front of them. Another pause. Well, at least she didn't get my hair, Sakura says brightly, but there is a note of effort there. Her light-hearted joke comes off as nervousness. Sasuke isn't sure what to say to that and eventually replies with a "hm." She got my forehead though, she continues regretfully. Sorry. Sasuke's eyebrows draw together, and before he can stop himself he turns to stare at her, puzzled. What's wrong with your forehead? Sakura gapes at him, falters for a moment as if she's forgotten, and then quickly looks away again. It's huge, she informs him, again, apologetically. Oh. He really has no idea what to say here. He never thought foreheads were something that girls worried about. Is that even a thing? I hadn't noticed. Really? She is staring at him again now, wide-eyed and hopeful sounding. Why the hell does that make her so happy? Did I miss something? He doesn't understand girls and the way their minds work, or even how he got roped into talking about Sakura's looks. Is she expecting him to say something nice to her about her appearance? That's how this sort of thing works, right? At least that's what snippets of conversation around the academy would have him believe. But that seems silly and contrived to him. What use is complimenting a person's looks, especially in the life of a shinobi? Injury can easily rob someone of good looks, and age takes care of the rest. Sasuke casts his mind back, glossing over the festering wounds of his memory, trying to recall a time before, when his family was whole, and when certain social behaviors were actually the norm. He seems to recall Itachi, and his chest burns painfully at the thought, offering Mother quiet compliments about her appearance. In the years since he lost her, Sasuke has idealized his mother into a paragon of beauty, and he knows that according to clan standards she was considered attractive. She was humble too. Sasuke remembers her fervent denials of Itachi's compliments, even if she was obviously heartened by them. Father never made any indication he'd even noticed Mother's looks. Anytime he had anything praiseworthy to say about her, when he said anything at all, it was usually in reference to her skills. About how fast she had flown through the ranks when they were young, or her talent for shuriken jutsu. How well she managed the clan when he was away on business. Father's method of praise, what Sasuke fought so hard to achieve himself, makes much more sense to him than approving of something as fleeting and unearned as a physical attribute. He decides to try his hand at that. It's irrelevant, he tells her. Looks are useless to a shinobi. Intelligence is the important thing. And well, you have that. Sakura's shoulders slump. Oh, Sasuke frowns. Did I do that wrong? Despite reassuring her, his words seem to have upset her. Which again makes no sense. And bothers him, because, well, this is his future wife. And you're kind, he says, trying again. In this world, there aren't many people who can be like that, without some kind of hidden motive. That's also important, which is true. He might not have a use for that kindness, and he privately thinks that in the world of shinobi kindness is a luxury, but it's still something that is rare and ought to be protected. Even if, as he's learned over the past day or so, it can't be. Before today, Sasuke never considered the fact that Sakura might actually become a great shinobi. Her presence on their team always just felt like a way of counterbalancing his and Naruto's skills, and yet, now that he thinks about it, it's not the first time Sakura has extricated herself from their attempts at shielding her and thrown herself into danger. What you did, before he begins, unsure how to ask this, but dreading the idea of another long awkward silence. When? Sakura asks, and her voice is closer. She's inched a little closer to him, probably to hear him better, but he doesn't check to make sure. Instead, Sasuke keeps his eyes fixed firmly on the shifting air in front of them. With Miu, he clarifies. You were going to, with the explosive. He trails off, surprised to find it difficult to vocalize. Why would you do that? He chances a look at her, she's still closer now, and notices the puzzled expression. Because she's our daughter? You didn't know that then. Well, no, not at the time, but I knew she was yours, Sakura shrugs. I knew she was important to you, so you'd kill yourself because something is important to me? Sasuke repeats, blunt in his incredulity. He's stopped pretending to scout the charged air in front of them now, and is trying to read Sakura's face. It has softened and she's looking at him now the way he imagines he looks at most people, as if he is simple-minded and missing something of utmost significance. Sasuke, she begins, biting her lip like she's deciding on the exact words to say. Something fiery enters her eyes then, and her shoulders square with resolve. I would give anything to protect your happiness. Because, you are the person that is most precious to me. Sasuke can't help the way his eyes widened at this, because he knew, or guessed, that Sakura felt so strongly for him. It's one of the worst kept secrets, one of those facts they just don't really bring up. But the way Sakura's words echo with an absolute, unquestionable certainty, somehow, he didn't expect that. As such, he has no idea what to say to it, which is why he is more than grateful when there's a puff of smoke and suddenly Kakashi and Naruto are standing beside them again. Avoiding it isn't possible, their sensei says without preamble. I think this charged area goes all the way around. Sort of like an inner ripple. The only way out of it is to pass through to the other side. It's like the bubble has more bubbles inside it, Naruto adds. But I sent a clone through and it didn't get fried, so we're not going to get ripped apart by some kind of time storm. He scratches his chin. At least I think that's what Kakashi-sensei said, We've been lucky avoiding the windows so far, but if we go in there. Sakura eyes the empty valley warily. It's not going to be good. We knew that going into this, Sasuke reminds her. Let's just hope whatever the time windows keep spewing out at us doesn't get out of the temporal bubble. Tsunade, and perhaps Kakashi's future self, must have their hands full containing the phenomenon and limiting the amount of temporal bleed through. He doesn't envy anyone that job. Alright, let's go. Slow and steady. Running through would just make it harder to avoid any potential windows opening up. With the Sharingan users leading the way, Team 7 makes its way quickly but carefully along the empty, barren terrain. A powerful tension washes over Kakashi and his students, not from the charged air, but their own wary expectation. If anything good can be said to come out of this experience, at least the kids are getting some decent practice and awareness. Even though they've somehow got to forget it again, if we live. As they reach the halfway point, in the distance Kakashi can sense the air calming. The world around them begins to shift. Sasuke swears and jumps to one side, as a human-shaped figure appears in front of him only to disappear seconds later. It's not the only one of its kind either, they note when Sakura shrieks in shock, walking right through another fast-moving, flickering shape. More specters flit in and out of existence around them, insubstantial and one moment, then gone the next. Kakashi narrows his eyes, sensing the worst is about to happen. Run, he says. See that cliff face over there, where the valley starts leading into the gorge? The air is clear there, we just have to. Which is the exact moment that all hell breaks loose. There's no ostensible shift or warning. One moment they are alone but for the flickering images and figures, and the next the valley has been pitched into a battlefield. The ominous sounds they heard before from the portals increase 100-fold here. Blades clash and men scream as they die. The stench of smoke and dust clogs the air, along with the sickly sweet smell of blood and other bodily fluids. Sakura emits a horrified cry of surprise, and Kakashi instinctively reaches for the kids, pulling them close behind him. It's a futile gesture. There's nowhere for them to really hide, no raised parts of terrain to seek cover behind. While that's a good thing, it means they are still in their time, in familiar terrain. It also leaves them depressingly open. Arrows rain down from the sky as the four of them press their backs to each other, everyone trying to keep track of the sudden change in circumstance. Someone screams a wordless cry, and from above a figure in armor bears down on them with what appears to be a yari or a naginata. Kakashi moves faster than the blink of an eye, shifting to one side and grabbing the wood staff section of the weapon. Using the momentum, he throws the unsuspecting wielder over their heads, causing him to land several feet away. He's barely recovered his bearings, when another enemy comes at them, wildly swinging a sword. This one is clad in different colors, different regalia from the first attacker. Great. So everyone here has decided we're the enemy. Sasuke can sort of sympathize with that. His first reaction to random people popping up out of nowhere is to attack first and ask questions later. But as he dives low, swiping the feet out from beneath the man with the sword, he wonders how stupid people must be not to notice they've spontaneously changed locations. We need to get to the edge of this, Kakashi shouts. Toward the edge of the canyon, quick as you can. And keep an eye out for. He is cut off by another sword attack, which he fends off with a hastily raised shuriken, locking the hilt of the sword between its points. Damn it! There's too much happening here. Naruto yells, backing towards Sakura. Out of the corner of his eye he notices Sasuke doing the same, both of them unconsciously agreeing to ensure her safety while Kakashi fends off the attacks from behind them. There's no room to move, nowhere to, something punches through his leg and Naruto glares down at the arrow shaft that is suddenly sticking out of his thigh. Naruto! Sakura cries. At this rate, we're not getting out of here, Sasuke growls, knocking another arrow out of the air as it heads for them. Yes, we will, Sakura insists. We have to, unless you have some sort of plan. Give me a second. We don't have a. Give me a second. Sakura's thoughts race as fast as her eyes can take in the details. Ancient armor, so warring states, but not shinobi. Weaponry is bulkier, more for force than stealth, and the style of it, yari and katana and those long-range bows? Samurai. That could give us the advantage if we can catch them off guard. Hard to do with so many attacking us from all sides, but we need a distraction. She realizes. Kakashi is way ahead of her. Sasuke, you and I will clear a path. Sakura, you bring up the rear and watch our blind spots. We find an opening, and we take it. And how exactly are we supposed to do that? Naruto demands. We're shinobi. Disappearing is what we do. The last time I checked, neither Sakura nor Naruto can perform shushin over the range we need to travel, Sasuke argues as they duck another volley of incoming arrows. Naruto waylays one of the charging men in armor. It'd be useless to try that right now, or we might end up running into the path of an arrow. Again. Naruto grunts, landing a savage kick on one of the dazed samurai that Kakashi inadvertently sends their way. So we distract the archers, Sakura says. Naruto? Sure, I love being the pincushion, he complains. Why not do it a couple hundred times? A hand sign later, and several dozen shadow clones surround them, dispersing throughout the entire stretch of fighting. See if you can see a way out for us too. Sakura reminds him. With the way the world has shifted, she doesn't even know which direction they would have to flee in. Hey! You jerks! Several orange-clad figures bellow to the edge of the field where the archers are. Betcha can't hit me. Naya, Sakura smirks. The drawback to bows is that archers don't really expect people to just show up and punch them in the face. No longer having to worry about a rain of arrows from above, her teammates can focus on the more immediate threats. Kakashi continues to deal with the close-range, katana-wielding core, while Sasuke faces down the ones wielding Yari. The staff-like weapons are a pain for him to defend against, especially considering one well-placed swipe might take off his skull. However, with a few clever applications of wire and shuriken, he manages to deflect the intended blows and knock them into one another. It leaves Sakura to deal with a nearby samurai wielding a huge kanabo, a club strong enough to shatter femur bones if it connects. She's fast enough to dodge, and he knows she's talented enough to destabilize her opponent now that they've created the room. But, Sasuke, go! She yells at him as she jumps back to avoid the club. We need to get out of here. As he ventures forward, Sakura creates 3 clones of herself, forcing the kanabo wielder to pause in surprise at the sight. Taking advantage of his uncertainty, she lunges forward, her clones going for the obvious weakness in his armor, inside the knee and around the groin area. While he moves to defend those, she aims a powerful blow to the space just near his armpit, shoving a burst of chakra as she does. The man shouts in pain, losing his grip on the kanabo, which she clumsily grabs hold of and swings at his face. Ha! She grunts out as the club connects. His helmet will absorb most of the blow, but it'll still knock him out. Flushed with her success, she doesn't see the soldier on the horse. Even Sasuke doesn't see it, doesn't register the sound of thundering hooves until it's too late. Before either of them can react, Sakura is no longer crouched near him, but being dragged away by mounted warrior. Sakura! Sasuke yells after her, although the shout is lost in the din of battle. He begins to spring after her, but a firm hand grasps him by the shoulder and whirls him around. Stick with Naruto! Kakashi orders. He found a way out, go with him, and I'll get Sakura. No, Sasuke growls, struggling free. I've got to make sure. I will not let anything happen to her, Kakashi insists, his voice leaving no room for argument. He is already scanning the rest of the field for the telltale sign of pink. It's a measure of how smoky the air is that he needs the Sharingan to do so. Farther and farther away, Sakura is being pulled through the air in the roughest way imaginable. Pain like she's never experienced assaults her, tearing, white-hot agony rippling through her, as if every hair follicle is on fire. Her body is close, too powerful, muscular legs and the rumbling sound of hooves. As she and her captor move, her flailing limbs knock into soldiers that are still fighting on the ground, unable to duck out of the way of this sadistic cavalryman. He has to be a sadist, because if he had any kind of smarts or battle acumen, he'd not have stopped to drag her with him, but cut her down where she stood. That's right, think past the pain. Shinaro, being skewered isn't completely off the table, however, and if she doesn't escape it could still happen. She can't reach her kunai, but that's fine. Her hand is still wrapped in a death grip around the kanabo she took. One good swing, even if she runs to risk of braining herself, means she can get free. Alright, 3, 2, let me go! She snarls, swinging the club upward, targeting the place where the man's armor doesn't cover. There's a howl of pain as the weapon connects and his elbow shatters. The horse veers into her as her captor loses control, and Sakura is abruptly on the ground. Immediately as she hits the dirt, she pulls up her arms to protect her head and spine, as the thundering hooves go over her head. She tucks and rolls, not allowing herself to stop until the hoofbeats are gone. Sakura staggers to her feet, tears across her face and clutching her head. She knows she has to get moving, get back to her team, but she is disoriented by pain and an odd vertigo. It feels like ground and sky have shifted, taking her center of gravity with them. Behind her, a wordless battle cry fills the air, becoming louder and closer. She whirls around, just as a man with a sword begins to stab forward. The blow never arrives. The yell cuts off, lost in the sound of an elbow crushing the larynx. Sakura blinks up uncertainly at the dark figure disarming another would-be attacker, deftly avoiding the path of the blade headed for him and sending his opponent flying. Her jaw drops. Amazing speed aside, her rescuer is one-handed, his long and empty shirt sleeve fluttering in this displaced air. Unlike everyone else here, he isn't dressed for battle. But most mystifying at all is the fact that once he has dealt with the closest threats, no other attacks appear imminent. Even the whistling sound of arrows through the sky are no longer reaching them, probably because surrounding them, obstructing the ongoing battle, is a very large, bluish-violet barrier that for some reason resembles a giant ribcage. Sakura watches in amazement as the stranger effortlessly fends off the surrounding enemy. Although his attacks are effective, she notices that he is not striking to kill, only to stun or render unconscious. As he moves, she is able to get a better look at him, and the amazement quickly transforms into utter shock. Missing arm or not, there is only one person she knows that moves like that. He might be significantly taller, and his face a little hollower, but this is Sasuke. Sakura has barely made this connection when he turns to her, scooping her up and says, "Hold on." She doesn't even question him, her arms automatically settling around his neck and shoulders. The glowing blue-violet ribcage retracts, and there's an eerie, amethyst flow from the left side of his face. What happened to his eye? There's a pulling sensation behind her navel. Sakura's mouth opens in a silent scream, her stomach flip-flopping as the world goes from one section of the battlefield to a completely different one. "What the?" she gasps, and then has to free one of her hands from their death grip on this future Sasuke's shirt. She presses it against her mouth as her stomach revolts at the speed and sudden change of scenery. What the hell was that? I can use Shushin, but that was something completely different. Sakura. She turns her head, noticing Kakashi several feet away from them. The Jonin is physically holding on to Sasuke, her Sasuke, from behind, while several Narutos fights off the surrounding enemy. Both Kakashi and Sasuke freeze upon seeing who Sakura is with, which gives one of the soldiers the real Naruto is dealing an opening. He raises his katana. "Watch out!" Sakura shrieks, but the word gets lost in the rush of air and seconds shift in location. Suddenly, she and her rescuer are standing behind her team. 20 feet away, the would-be attacker finishes his downward swing, his sword cutting through the empty space where she and the future Sasuke just stood. "Did we just switch places?" she asks, causing Kakashi and her Sasuke to whirl around. Twin expressions of disbelief are on their faces. There are no answers forthcoming. Instead, future Sasuke gently puts Sakura on her feet and snatches his remaining arm outward, grabbing Naruto close. His clones instantly dissipate, and snaps, "No one move." The world around them crackles and whirls, and suddenly a portal opens up around them. There's a howling wind and a rush of cold, and the battlefield is abruptly gone. Instead, an endless snowscape surrounds them, free of the immediate dangers of enemy soldiers. Icy cliffs tower over them, with deadly sharp icicles hanging downward, and the air has a sharp, bitter taste to it that Sakura have never experienced. "The dimensional seepage isn't as bad on this plane," the older Sasuke says, plodding ahead through the knee-deep snow. "We can bypass the temporal ripple you got caught in without any of you getting killed." When no one moves to follow him, everyone is too stunned with realization at just who this is. He shoots an unimpressed glare over his shoulder. "Unless you want to get stuck here, you'll stay close to me. I'm the only one who can get us back." Which, given the bone-deep cold surrounding them right now, is just as good an argument as any. Team 7 rush to keep close to this adult Sasuke, each one fighting off the urge to question him, no one able to look away from him. Even Kakashi is silent, taking the measure of this man who is so familiar yet an utter stranger to him. Well, he grew up in an interesting way. Before their odd gazes, future Sasuke once again uses that amethyst eye of his, and the snowy world is bisected by another circular portal. He stands back, waiting for them all to file through, and then allows it to dissipate behind him. Sakura, barely daring to breathe, glances around her warily. It's their own world again. At least she thinks so. The air tastes right, but they are not trapped in an all-encompassing battlefield. It appears they've been spat out deeper into the valley, at the mouth of canyon, with walls of rock that begin to get higher the farther in they go. The sounds of warfare continue to echo from far away, though, and it's likely a matter of time before the fighting reaches here as well. Future Sasuke suddenly staggers forward, coughing and choking. Something wet splatters on the ground, and a metallic scent hits the air. "Sasuke!" Sakura cries out, reaching out to him without even a thought. It doesn't matter that this is the older version, it's Sasuke. He's hers, will be hers. In fact, glancing up at the younger version, who is watching the entire scene with an astonished expression, Sakura has an odd, otherworldly presentiment. That all Sasuke's are her, the young, the old, the good and the bad. She's not even sure what that means, but there's a heavy weight of truth to it that makes her shiver. As the younger Sasuke slowly meets her gaze, she wonders if he can feel it too. Don't worry about me, Sasuke's future self says quietly, gently shrugging her away and wiping blood from his lips. It's a strain to move through space and time when the dimensions are so torn. I'll recover. His left eye is shut tightly now, hiding that strange eye of his. But it will take some time before I'm able to do that again. Then why waste it on us? Sasuke blurts out. His older self gives him a look as if he's just dribbled on his shirt, and then straightens up to study Sakura. The lone black eye appears to be assessing her, but whether it's for injuries or to determine her strength, it's unclear. Whatever he's looking for, he appears satisfied because he returns his attention to his younger self and demands expectantly, "Where is Sarada?" Young Sasuke balks at this, unable to find the words. Sakura, too, tries to say something, but ends up simply mouthing wordlessly. Naruto continues to openly gaping at their rescuer, his jaw in danger of popping out of its socket. The kids are stunned, their brains struggling to catch up with what's happened. Even Kakashi is a little uncertain, but he knows this Sasuke won't tolerate an excuse. On her way to stop all of this, Kakashi tells him. We think, Chapter 23. You think, future Sasuke repeats, tone deceptively soft. Kakashi imagines many a poor soul has mistaken that softness for calm. Instead, he finds the hairs on the back of his neck raising, the same way they might in proximity of a dangerous predator. It's not a bad reaction to have, given what he just saw the man do. And considering he's pretty sure he knows what future Sasuke's closed eye now hides. That was a Rinnegan. Those are supposed to be extinct, if they were anything beyond myth. So how the hell did Sasuke end up with one? It's a long story, he says instead. The short version is we separated from Konohamaru and his team a while back. The most prudent thing to do was to get out of the time bubble and minimize the paradox. We tried to get Sarada to come with us, but well. Kakashi shrugs here. She's your daughter. Do you really think she was going to let us drag her out of here when her teammates are busy trying to save the world? No, future Sasuke says, pinching the bridge of his nose in exasperation. Kakashi can't help his mouth twitching slightly at this. I take it it's not a surprise, bastard. Someone shouts from above them, and Kakashi and his students immediately tense up, expecting another attack. Instead, they see three figures skidding down the walls toward them, three surprisingly familiar figures. The three genin gasp, and Kakashi knows if he wasn't more in control of himself, he'd do the same. What the hell do you think you're doing, just disappearing like that? The shouter continues. He stalks forward, blue eyes narrowed in annoyance, and whiskers bristling with every step. 1 minute you're dragging us in here, and the next you're opening up a portal and leaving us behind. What the hell kind of stupid? The diatribe trails off as a clearly adult Naruto seems to notice exactly which group of people are standing beside his friend, because he goes quiet. Oh is as good a descriptor as any. It's not as if a situation like this one happens every day. In a slow, utterly unconscious movement, Kakashi watches as his students, past and future, move directly in front of one another as if they are approaching a particularly powerful funhouse mirror. No one appears to completely comprehend what faces them. Future Naruto, still resplendent in bright orange, but whose chakra dwarfs all of them like a burning pyre, smiles down at his younger self with something like nostalgia. Young Naruto gapes outright, jaw hanging and one finger pointing in disbelief. Yet again, he remains stunned beyond speech. The two Sasukes regard each other warily. The spectacle resembles two rival wolves sizing each other up, which makes no sense considering they are essentially the same person. Kakashi's student appears to still be taking in every aspect of his older self, the missing arm, the black eye which once showed the Mangekyo Sharingan, and the other which holds the Rinnegan, and clearly doesn't know what to make of the man who is obviously a formidable warrior. The Sasuke who saved them from the battlefield, however, gazes down at his younger self with an expression that is too hard to read. It's as if he is looking at something long forgotten, and which causes him great discomfort. Sakura, the one who is mother to Sarada, holds herself entirely differently than Kakashi is used to seeing. And that rhombus shape on her forehead, if he's not mistaken, is Tsunade's Byakugo. Suddenly Sarada's capabilities make so much more sense, and Kakashi experiences a wave of pride for his lone female student. The woman bites her lips as she studies her younger self. It appears she's holding back a smile that she isn't sure is appropriate, but her eyes shine like she's rediscovered an old photo or treasured keepsake. Young Sakura, on the other hand, clutches her hands to her chest, cheeks slightly pink, as she considers the woman in front of her uncertainly. Even though they are clearly the same person, the pink hair kind of makes that obvious. She can't believe the woman in front of her is her. And then there's Hinata? The younger Naruto demands, finally recovering from his temporary muteness. His attention slides from his adult self to the diminutive figure that lingers beside him. Is that? Wait, why is Hinata here? Hello, Naruto, the older version of Hinata murmurs, her voice still as soft and kind as she is in this time. I'm so glad you're safe. Yeah, the boy says, unsure what to say, because it occurs to him that this is his wife. He has a wife. He knew he was going to have a wife, considering he met his kid, but somehow he just fully accepted what that meant. And Boruto? Hinata goes on, earnest yet with a mettle to her that Kakashi has never sensed about her before. It appears his students aren't the only ones who will undergo great change. Have you seen him? Yeah, he was fine last time I checked, Naruto replies uncomfortably. Those pale eyes meet his unflinchingly, in a way that the Hinata of his time has never done. He wonders if she can't see down to the very core of him, demon, fox and all. Well, she must, considering she marries him, right? She must know, and yet she's still gazing at him, eyes filled with some emotion he has no name for. He thinks he's seen hints of whatever it is before, maybe from Irika, but never from anyone else. And never so strong as this. Naruto feels like this is a look he should recognize, but for the life of him, can't. She leans over, bringing herself down to his height, and he of course blurts out the first thing that comes to mind. Whoa! You filled out. The dark-haired woman's cheeks flood with color, and the adult version snaps. Don't say stuff like that. Before smacking his young self upside the head. Crude or not, it's true, Kakashi can't help agreeing with his student's ill-timed observation. The heiress to the Hyuga has definitely developed, even though she's still modestly dressed as ever compared to the adult version of Sakura, who seems to have no problem showing off a very toned physique and much more developed. I am going to hell. Kakashi had already sort of resigned himself to that fact, however he thought it would be due to sins accumulated as a shinobi. Even if, at the moment, both women are technically older than him, they are still married to his adorable students. One of them was one of his adorable students. Yes, I am definitely doing to hell. Where's your Kakashi? Young Sasuke asks, narrowing his eyes at his older self. Not with us. The Jonin releases a breath he didn't realize he was holding. He is relieved he won't have a run-in with his future self. Despite Sarada's assurances that he has done well for himself, he has enough trouble looking in the mirror some days. It would be even worse to have his older self staring back at him, especially given his less than respectable thoughts just now. Why is old Kakashi not here? Naruto demands. Even if we succeed here, there's always the possibility of dying in the process, future Sasuke says. There must be someone back in Konoha to look to for leadership should the worst happen. Right, I forgot that he was Hokage, the younger Naruto muses. He perks up. Hey, old me. Does that mean you're gonna be the next Hokage? I mean, you've gotten in with the big boss man now, right? Future Naruto opens his mouth to answer, and then abruptly scowls. I'm not old. Hinata hides a giggle, earning a sour look from her husband. You so are. I think I see a little gray in your hair. At least I look like I've taken a bath in the last week. Yeah, whatever, Gramps. Why you little? I'm gonna. Dear, you can't kill your past self, Hinata reminds him quietly. That would probably not be a good idea. Yeah, well, I'd have it coming, the older Naruto mutters, crossing his arms and pouting, a gesture perfectly mirrored by his young self. Young Naruto sticks his tongue out him, feeling inexplicably threatened by this future version. The agitation stems from somewhere deep within him, and it takes him a moment to realize that the Nine-Tails is restless and confused, I think, but thinking about it is making him dizzy, so he brushes it off in his usual manner. Instead, he jerks his attention away from him and decides to deal with something he at least knows. Sasuke, even an older Sasuke, is someone he knows how to talk to. Well, old or not, at least it looks like I'm gonna be tall one day, he sniffs. Hey, Sasuke. I think old me is taller than old you. Adult Sasuke's visible eye twitches, while his younger self scoffs, TCH. Get your eyes checked, idiot. Do you always have to start a fight? Sakura hisses, eyes still flitting nervously up at her future self. Trust me, it doesn't change, the pink-haired woman says, mouth quirked in amusement. The soft expression fades a beat later, replaced with solemnity. Where's Sarada? Sakura adopts a shamefaced expression. She ran off, she admits. We were on our way to go to her, but then we got caught up in that battle over there and couldn't get out. I got separated from everyone else, but Sasuke, your Sasuke, showed up. How did you show up? Sasuke asks, and future Sakura's attention shifts to him. And how did you move us? Future Sakura's worried expression moves from Sakura to Sasuke, and softens. Her mouth pulls into a smile. Oh, darling, look! She breathes as she stares at the younger version of her husband. Sakura and Sasuke's eyes snap to one another in identical incredulity. Darling? Sakura. Future Sasuke begins. But before anyone can stop her, the woman has reached out and pulled Sasuke into her arms. I forgot how cute you were. Future Sasuke sighs, for all intents and purposes looking resigned, but those with sharp eyes can see the barest trace of pink dusting across his cheeks in the darkness. Kakashi can't help be fascinated. It's one thing to hear about, but entirely another to actually see. Meanwhile, Sasuke stands rigid in the woman's embrace, eyes wide and spine straight. He has no idea what to do. He doesn't like to be touched or hugged, but he tolerates Sakura. And this is Sakura, his future wife, and it's been so very, very long since someone held him like this. A warm, protective hug, conveying no expectation that he might shrug it off. In danger of relaxing into the embrace, Sasuke sends a panicked look at his Sakura, who watches the entire exchange, bemused. She is torn between finding the tableau adorable and being supremely jealous because someone else is holding Sasuke, even if it is her future self. Thankfully, Sasuke's body provides him with an excuse to get away, as pain lances through him. Seeing his wince, future Sakura pulls away, face falling. She takes in the barely closed wounds across Sasuke's chest, the most their mediocre healing materials could deal with. Oh! You're hurt! She spreads a palm across his chest, green healing chakra flowing from her fingers. We can't have that. And that goes for all of you. Get over here and let me help you. We'd appreciate it, Kakashi says, amused to see his normally stoic student's face begin to turn a very uncharacteristic shade of pink. It's been an interesting day, future Sakura smirks. I'll bet. You're a trouble magnet, Kakashi-sensei. I don't think there's ever been a Hokage that faced as many crises as you did. And trust me, that's saying something, future Naruto says. He strides forward, grinning at Kakashi. Beyond what Kakashi noticed earlier, there are stark differences to this Naruto. He is obviously more mature, both in body and in temperament. He has the air of a father about him, or at least the air Kakashi remembers from his own father. And then there's the other thing, the bearing of a man who has taken responsibility, who guards the well-being of hundreds, if not thousands of people. A man who has made hard decisions, seen great joy and great loss. And Kakashi abruptly knows, without having to even be told, that Naruto grew up to achieve his dream after all. There's nothing else to do but put his hand out to his future former student. It looks like you've done well for yourself, Naruto. The future Hokage laughs awkwardly, takes Kakashi's hand with his own bandaged one, and rubs the back of his head with the other. Well, my predecessor hammered a few lessons into my head. Both literally and figuratively. Thanks for that, by the way. Oh, I doubt I'm the only one who can take credit for that. They both turn their attention to where the younger Naruto, utterly oblivious to their conversation, continues to peek at Hinata like he can't figure out if she's real or not. Would you like me to heal your wounds? She offers him shyly. I'm not as talented as Sakura, but I've still learned enough to be able to make a difference. Still stunned, and cheeks turning pink, Naruto simply nods and lets the woman reach out her hand. She presses it lightly over the scabbed wounds that Miyume had put in his shoulder. A cool, soothing chakra flows through him, soothing the raw skin and muscles. His own ability to heal has been stretched to its limit today, and this unexpected help is appreciated. Do you, do this a lot? He asks nervously, not completely sure what he's supposed to say to Hinata. She doesn't appear put off, and the gentle smile doesn't go away. Surprisingly, I've never had to. Again, Naruto doesn't know what to say to that, and so he babbles. So if you're all here for your kids, does that mean future Orochimaru is here too? Yeah, Sakura pipes up. Maybe we can ask future him to get rid of Sasuke's mark. He's like a good guy now, right? In a quieter tone she mutters, it's the least he could do since he put it there to begin with. It's a little more complicated than that, future Sakura says, coming over to kneel in front of her former self. Why's that? Sasuke asks. It means it's complicated, his future self says shortly. Besides, we can't remove it. It has to stay there. Sasuke snorts and crosses his arms. Fine, it's not like I care. But having a Sannin on our side today might be helpful. What, for legends aren't good enough? Future Naruto demands. Trust me, you should be glad this thing is happening far away from where the old snake is hanging out. We may have an understanding, but that doesn't mean I want the power-hungry maniac anyway near time travel. Questionable morality aside, I don't want to imagine what kind of damage he could do. Future Sasuke says nothing to defend or refute the statement, but his past self stares at future Naruto suspiciously. Did you just use the phrase questionable morality aside and actually know what it means? He asks. Future Sasuke makes a sound that sounds suspiciously like amusement, while future Naruto growls at them both. Seriously? That's the part of that whole thing you focused on. You are so lucky I don't beat up kids. Pretty sure I could take you. Sakura sighs in frustration and looks away from her teammates past and present and turns to her own future self. Maybe one of them should have stayed home. Seems like it, huh? Future Sakura says with a rueful smile. She is utterly at ease as she fixes the bruises and scratches on her younger self. There wasn't much of a choice in that, though. You'll get that one day. Suko showed up, literally on Sasuke's head, and told us about the trouble. We should have known. I mean, it is our kids, so we went to get Naruto right away. And of course, Hinata insisted on coming along too, which was a good thing, future Sasuke points out. There are too many dimensions beginning to superimpose on one another. Sensing chakra signatures right now is next to impossible. Kakashi physically startles at that, realizing that now that it's been mentioned, he can barely sense chicken. It's as though the trace he left on him is coming through deep water or thick mud. Unless you're biologically geared towards sensing chakra, future Naruto finishes, a bragging note in his voice. Hinata's been keeping us on track. It's how we're going to find the center of whatever's going on and deal with it. Especially since the world in here is completely wrong, Hinata says grimly. The stars, landmarkers, things are moving around the longer this phenomenon is active. I'm surprised you were able to get out of that battlefield, Sasuke. The way things are now, you're extremely lucky you didn't end up somewhere or sometime completely different. We're not at that point yet. Soon, though, future Sasuke says. People and places from other times are beginning to solidify here. Likely they're competing with all times and places on a subatomic level, and whatever's strongest is winning out. That's what happened to us just now. Sakura gasps. We were traveling, and then suddenly there was a war going on around us, and that's why you disappeared without warning? Future Naruto asks his friend, mild repudiation in his tone. Sakura was in danger, future Sasuke replies simply and utterly unbothered. His wife frowns at this. I was right beside you, and although she doesn't say it, everyone hears the silent, and I can take care of myself at the end of her sentence. He means me, Sakura speaks up quietly. But how did you know? Naruto. Future Naruto said only Hinata could still sense chakra right now. Future Sasuke's expression tightens, becoming grimmer, because, he says quietly, I'm beginning to remember. There's a beat of stunned silence. What do you mean, you're beginning to remember? Future Naruto asks, his brows drawing together in confusion. Remember what? All of this, his friend replies. It's still very fragmented, but I remember today happening. From a different vantage point, his gaze falls on his younger self, frowning. Sasuke feels very much like he is being judged and found wanting. In fact, he gets the sense that his older self may, for some unknown reason, feel ashamed of him. He opens his mouth to demand what the hell is the guy's problem, but the man turns away right then and says time is blurring. It's possible my close proximity to my younger form is causing it. We share the same mind and soul. That may be causing an overlap and merging of memories. How is that possible? His wife asks. It would be happening to all of us, wouldn't it? But I can't remember a thing. Neither can I, future Naruto adds. Or whatever sealed everyone's memories in the first place was made deliberately weaker in order to give Sasuke an opportunity to intervene exactly when he needed to, Kakashi suggests. What exactly do you remember? Hinata inquires. Sakura was dragged off somewhere. I tried to reach her, and then I saw myself, this self, appear just in time to intervene, future Sasuke explains. So you knew you were going to save me, which meant you had to save me, so you knew how to find me to save me, Sakura says, screwing up her face. Does anyone else have a headache? Both Narutos raise their hands. Wait a minute, future Sakura interrupts. Although she doesn't pause the steady stream of healing chakra that she focuses into Kakashi's chest, that doesn't make sense at all. You shouldn't be able to remember anything. Why not? Sakura asks. Most memory techniques are only temporary anyhow. Even the strongest would begin to give way over time. Exactly. What's happening right now is huge, too big for a regular memory block or memory erasure technique to just hide. Unless the memories were expunged completely, something would trigger us to recall them at some point. Especially considering all the stuff that's going to happen to you guys in the next few years. She glances at Kakashi. You would never take that risk. You would do a full sealing. At most, the memories might peek through in dreams, but they never fully manifest. Unless it isn't a common memory technique at all, Sasuke realizes slowly, his mind racing at the abilities he's seen his older self display. Snippets of what he's heard his brother is capable of, what he has experienced him being capable of. It's entirely possible that what hides our memories is just a very strong genjutsu. A genjutsu that would have to be cast by someone strong enough to change the memories of even someone possessing such vast chakra reserves that they might be able to resist it, future Sasuke finishes. And this time it's Naruto that finds himself under his scrutiny. No, wait, it's not just me. Future Sasuke isn't just looking at him, he's looking at the nine tails within him. Wait a minute, he can see you? There is no answer except for a suspicious growl. For once the fox demon doesn't seem to have anything to say. In fact, a tense, wary silence radiates from that dank, dark place within Naruto's soul. A wave of emotions radiate from the cage: anger, frustration, confusion, curiosity. And the beast can't seem to settle on just the one. Naruto can't help feeling some of that himself, especially considering the older version of Sasuke has been so careful not to reveal the existence of the Nine Tails to everyone else. At this point, keeping secrets is kind of useless, but it's as if this Sasuke somehow understands why Naruto still wants to keep it to himself. It's like at some point he might actually become a decent human being. I wonder how hard I have to punch him before he gets this new personality. That's everyone, future Sakura announces, interrupting those thoughts. She straightens up from where she's just finished treating Kakashi, cracking her knuckles, and then stretches. Then she frowns over at her husband. Well, almost everyone. She strides over to future Sasuke and without preamble sets her hands on either side of his face. Her jaw set in concentration, the mark upon her forehead begins to glow. Seconds later, a winding ribbon of black moves down her face and wraps around her arms, and inexplicably connecting with his skin as well. It stretches beneath the collar of his shirt, and presumable down across the rest of his body. Future Sasuke's eyes shut in a grimace, his entire form braced as if against a powerful blow. Having had Naruto and Sasuke share their chakra with him, which wasn't exactly a painless experience, Kakashi recognizes what she's doing immediately. Based on what he has seen of Sarada's strength and the Sakura's healing power, he can only imagine that getting a concentrated injection of chakra from her must be like being hit by a rolling boiler. He's impressed Sasuke can take it without making even a sound of discomfort. Eventually, future Sakura pulls away, her mark receding, and her husband opens his eyes. The glowing purple eye is visible once more, and trained on her now in an aggrieved air. You shouldn't have done that. You don't know what we might end up facing. You'll need all the chakra you have. You overtaxed the Rinnegan saving past me's life. It's long overdue, she tells him with a cheeky smile. Besides, you don't know what we might end up facing either, so we need you in the best shape possible. And I've got more than enough chakra. He adopts a put-upon expression and turns away from her. Sakura hears him mutter annoying under his breath, but what stuns her is the obvious note of affection in the word. Sasuke mirrors her reaction, completely unable to comprehend the absolute ease with which his future self interacts with their wife. It's one thing to know that they will be married one day, to suspect that he will care for and respect his chosen spouse, but there's a subtle warmth in their interactions that Sasuke hasn't seen or experienced since his parents. And when she turns around and he sees his family's insignia on her back, on the back of someone that isn't him, it feels as if he can't breathe. Where did Konohamaru and the kids go? Future Sakura asks, voice coming as if from far away. From what we've guessed, somewhere around here, Kakashi says, drawing out his blood-stained map of the area. He points out the part where the valley gorge begins climb into rocky hills and the small mountain chain. Not that this does us much good if what Hinata said was true. But based on the information we have, it seems the most likely. And you just happen to be heading in the same direction? Kakashi winces, because the gleam in future Sakura's eyes is not amusement. Happened is sort of a strong word. And what word would you use? Don't get mad at Kakashi-sensei. I didn't give him a choice, Sakura interrupts, causing Kakashi to wince again and future Sasuke to subtly shake his head no behind his wife's back. You didn't give him a choice? Future Naruto repeats, missing the byplay. I'm the one in charge, Sakura says, putting her hands on her hips and trying to feel more confident than she is. He was wounded and gave command of our mission to me. Future Sakura's eye twitches, and future Naruto points out, leaders are supposed to get their team away from the danger, not run toward it. Yeah, and friends don't leave their friends behind. Naruto interjects, coming to Sakura's defense. It's the right thing to do, right, Sasuke? Sasuke simply nods, narrowing his eyes in challenge at his future self. Future Naruto sighs and shoots an annoyed look at Kakashi. It's your fault we were always like this, you know. I was just encouraging leadership skills. Kakashi-sensei, there's a time and a place to encourage leadership skills, but that time is not when the world is about to implode on itself because of fluctuations in the time-space continuum. And especially not when the very existence of our children is at stake. Future Sakura barks, a vein in her temple pulsing. You're supposed to be the adult here, Shinaro. I dunno what exactly she's expecting from a guy that skips training to read porn. Naruto mutters to himself. Yeah, you'd think she'd be used to it after 20 years, his older self agrees. Don't antagonize her, dear, Hinata reminds both of him quietly. I'm not very happy with Kakashi-sensei myself right now. Right? The orange-clad man immediately adopts a look of contrition. Future Sakura balls up her right fist, clearly considering the merits of punching Kakashi into the surrounding rock face, but is stopped by her husband's hand on her shoulder. Killing him right now would be counterproductive. Fine. But you can bet your ass I'm gonna kill him when we get home, Kakashi swallows. It's possible that there might be an upside to winking out of existence if it means avoiding that beating. Let's, get back on task, he agrees hurriedly, indicating the map once more. I'm not exactly sure where exactly we're all headed. According to maps and surveys, there's nothing in this area. At least, not in our time. Yes, there is, if you know where to look, Future Sasuke says. What do you mean? Future Sasuke indicates a point just below the slope of the mountain. There's an old Uchiha family stronghold here. Secret. Accessible only to those who know where it is, and who possess a Sharingan that can get them inside. Kakashi doesn't ask how he knows this or why the Uchiha would need a stronghold. That's a conversation best left for another day. But if only someone with a Sharingan can get in, then that would only mean you or Sarada, Future Naruto says. There's no one left alive who could do that. Sasuke grits his teeth at the final confirmation that his brother truly is dead in this unbelievable future. The tight feeling in his chest intensifies. Meanwhile, Sakura twitches uncomfortably. The meeting with Itachi, however brief and inexplicable, is still very much on her mind. She hopes he's woken up and gotten out of harm's way before the bubble expanded. Or at least avoided getting eaten by some prehistoric monster from another time. Then she blinks. The world is truly crazy if she's concerned over the fate of a mass-murdering criminal. It seems there's still a lot you guys don't know, Kakashi is saying. What do you mean? Sasuke interrupts. They know more than we do. Sarada said she got the information about all this from you. He glares at his future self suspiciously. If anything, you should be telling us what the hell is going on. Future Sasuke's expression remains utterly, obviously blank. Alarm bells ring in Sakura's head, and she quickly begins to stutter. Why yeah, that's right. Sarada said she learned about Taisoko Uchiha from you. But that you didn't know about her until around your time anyway, and that's why she didn't say anything right away when all this started happening, she babbles nervously. I bet there's a whole bunch of stuff about the Uchiha that Ryu doesn't know yet, right? Sasuke's adult self holds her gaze very carefully, obvious calculation going on in his eyes that makes it clear he has no idea what she's talking about. Damn it, I knew Sarada and I should have come up with a better story. I mean, you'd have to find it all out for yourself. Because no one else could possibly run into you to tell you about her. I mean, she was pretty clear about you and her being the only ones left who would know that sort of thing. Her whole team is looking at her as if she's lost her mind. So are their future selves. Sakura wonders if she hasn't and wishes the ground would swallow her up. She's a bad liar to begin with, but when it means keeping information from Sasuke, she's even worse. Sorry, this whole situation is so weird, okay? And I'm a bit dizzy, she laughs nervously. All the time shifting is getting to me. Because, you know, all of this is so weird and messing the world up. I mean, are clouds supposed to be red like that? I don't think clouds are supposed to be red. At which point future Sasuke's eyes widen and he nods incrementally. You should sit down before you fall down, he tells her quiet. Hey, past me is stronger than that, future Sakura protests, but she leans closer. Although, it's possible I missed the concussion when I was healing you before. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I did almost blow myself up, Sakura agrees hurriedly, allowing the older woman to check her out once again. But Sasuke is having none of it. What the hell is going on? He demands, taking a step toward his future self. He knows the man is hiding something. After all, out of everyone here, Sasuke is the only one who can truly read the man's every facial expression and put the correct thought to it. You're hiding something from me. It's nothing we can concern ourselves with right now, future Sasuke maintains, his overt aloofness implicitly confirming Sasuke's suspicions. But it's something, he insists angrily. Something you're keeping from me. He shoots Sakura a betrayed look. And you know what it is, don't you? Leave her be, his older self dismisses. No. Sakura, tell me what's going on, Sasuke orders, unable to fight back the wild, inexplicable panic. He still can't breathe, and the only way he knows to deal with that helplessness is to fight, to go for the weak link, break the chink in his opposition and take it down. She backs away from him, eyes wide. Sasuke, you're. She's pale and pointing at something beside his face, and it's then that he grows aware of the burning sensation in his neck. He didn't even notice the curse mark begin to activate in reaction to his confused emotions. Just as he doesn't notice exactly when his future self moves, planting himself right in front of him and grabbing him by the collar of his shirt. Stop, the man orders, and Sasuke finds himself staring into mismatched eyes, the right one spinning into a six-pointed pattern he has never seen before. Sasuke! He hears several people chorus. When this is over, I will answer your questions, but now is not the time, his future self states firmly. Control yourself before you do something thoughtless. I am in control, Sasuke insists angrily, although it occurs to him he's not sure what he's angrier about, having information being kept from him, or the fact that Sakura of all people is complicit in it. Future Sasuke appears to sense his thoughts, because his eyes flash. Then, in a voice too low for anyone to hear, he hisses, "That girl is one of the main reasons you don't become something worse than the monster that destroyed the Uchiha. You haven't let that mark hurt her yet, don't allow it to now." As the directive is given, Sasuke feels something settle over him, an artificial calm, almost an afterthought really. He knows it's genjutsu, and it should bother him, but it's bringing his heart rate back down, and his breathing becomes easier. He feels the mark on his neck recede. A beat later, his future self releases him, eyes still gleaming with warning. Sasuke feels shaken, like something in him has shifted a few degrees on his axis. He blinks, trying to reorient himself from what just happened, and his gaze falls on Sakura. She has one hand clutched in front of her, like she wants to reach out for him, but is holding back. For the first time that he can recall, he has the urge to apologize to her. He tamps down on that. His mood might be influenced by the curse mark and the genjutsu, but he's not pleased with having information kept from him, even if he knows that right now isn't the time. He won't apologize for that. Looking around, he once more becomes aware of the attention on him. Naruto and Kakashi are eyeing him warily, while the future shinobi appear knowing. That bothers him more than the attention itself. What? He snaps defensively, causing at least Hinata to look away. Damn it, future Naruto says quiet. I didn't realize this, you already had the curse mark by now. That means he and future Sakura adopt identical grim looks. Sasuke feels his hackles rise again, which his future self notices. It's not our concern, he points out. And as Sakura mentioned earlier, yes, I have told Sarada some stories of the Uchiha. His tone is somber. Probably not the ones I should have, however. But this story is so old. He closes his eyes, seemingly trying to focus. Sakura wonders if he's straining against whatever has been holding his memories at bay, or if he actually does know a little about Taisoko. It'd be nice if he could just remember how the hell we fixed this situation, but I guess that's too much to ask. The story is obscure. Records from long ago, that I didn't even know existed until I was a few years older than you, he tells his younger self. There is no lie there that anyone can detect. Wait. Taisoko, future Sakura murmurs. Wasn't that one of the names we found in the library in Suganuma when we were researching? Yes. The records were hard to find. Even harder to decipher, without certain abilities. You mean that mango-cute Sharingan, right? Naruto pipes up, annoyed at being left out of the conversation. Future Naruto sighs and says to Hinata, "You married me for my looks, didn't you?" Future Sasuke proceeds to give a quick retelling of what he knows of Taisoko's existence. It sounds even more vague than what Sarada said to her, and Sakura can see the confusion on everyone's face as he tells it. She does her best to fill in everything that Sarada figured out, and by the darkening look on her future husband's face, he very quickly came to the same conclusions. Future Naruto, too, looks forbidding. If this is all true, there's no way that you guys can be involved anymore, future Naruto tells them, sounding genuinely rueful. If something happens to you, we're all dead. So from this point on, you have to take cover somewhere safe. The rest of the adults make noises of agreement. So you're basically telling us to sit on our butts and let you handle everything? Sakura asks, somehow caught up short by this. It's the logical reaction, but at the same time, she didn't really expect it. As if we're just children? You are just children, her older self says apologetically. When Sakura makes a face, The woman continues, sorry. Any other situation I'd be fully supportive. But I know myself. I remember being you, even if I don't remember all of this. And back then, well, I know how strong your heart is. All of your hearts. But right now, you just get hurt. Hey, who cares if we get hurt? You're acting like we can't take a few punches. Naruto counters. You saw all that damage we took and are still standing. Come on, we know you're strong, Naruto, Hinata says pleadingly. You always have been. But one wrong move, and with the world being as unstable as it is right now, it's not a good idea. Please. Please believe me when I say you are too important to risk. If you die now, so many people will die as well. Including me. Including our son, our daughter. Daughter? Naruto chokes, the wind momentarily taken out of his sails. I have 2 kids? Surprising as that is, Kakashi is more shocked by the fact Hinata managed all those words without stuttering once. Still, he moves beyond that, and says, listen. It's true that the kids need to stay somewhere safe. But you 4 might need an extra Sharingan, especially if this whole situation is caused by an evolved Sharingan technique. I can help you. Sorry, Kakashi-sensei, you're just as important, future Sakura apologizes. Besides, we've got a lot of practice being impressive, future Naruto boasts. It's not like this is the first goddess we've been up against. Believe it, future Sasuke nods imperiously, making his younger self want to punch him. If you're so impressive, why are you missing an arm? He challenges, only just managing to keep the petulant note from his voice. Future Sasuke narrows his eyes at him. Because I was an idiot. Something you should know a lot about. Sasuke recoils a bit at that, while Sakura cries, hey, you can't talk to yourself like that. Naruto snaps. Even if it is kind of funny, you're the grown-up here. And suddenly, somehow, it's the Team 7 of the past, standing united against their future selves, while Kakashi and Hinata look on. I would be immensely proud if all this wasn't utterly surreal. Future Sakura sighs and shakes her head, while future Naruto sniggers. I forgot what monumental pains in the ass we could be at that age. I never did, future Sasuke replies, mouth pulling in a smirk. A second later it's gone, replaced with iron resolve. Which is why I'm going to make sure you 4 sit this one out. For all our safety. That's all the warning that they get before his Rinnegan begins to glow, and the world around them shifts. By the time the younger Team 7 realize what has happened, another portal has opened up around them. The Valley Gorge is gone, and Kakashi and his students are inexplicably standing all alone in the middle of a vast, endless desert. Silence surrounds them, except for the dead whisper of sand being moved by the wind. Are you kidding? Sakura howls in frustration. Kakashi blinks into the space that was just filled by his future students. Alright, that I wasn't expecting. Naruto turns to his friend, uncharacteristically calm, and says, I guess older you is still a dick after all. Chapter 24. Oh, great, more underground, Boruto complains. Because we didn't get enough of that before. Even knowing what they're getting into, it's hard to argue with Boruto's dismay at wandering into yet another subterranean lair. Sarada isn't sure about her teammates, but she's half expecting a horde of curse-marked monsters to come rushing out at them like what happened in the lab. None materialize though, and the only thing that overtakes them is unnatural silence. Well, come on, Konohamaru says. The world won't save itself, hey. Despite not having walked more than a few paces inside the hideaway, the glowing dawn light doesn't reach inside. Konohamaru is forced to break out a glow stick, his last one, it appears. A long hallway stretches in front of them, columns lining the single path ahead. Glints of red shine out at her from the walls, words carved in that strange way that only she can see and whispering secrets to her that she has no time to stay behind to study. She wonders if her father knows about this place. The ground declines with every step they take, bringing them deeper into she isn't sure exactly what to call it. Boruto appears to be of the same mind. I feel like I'm walking through a tomb. His eyes dart into every patch of shadow, and in the light cast by the glow stick, his face is ashen. Sarada can't help understand that. Her own eyes are sharp, aware of every minute shift in the air, but it's still nerve-wracking. Somehow, even though there aren't any twisting passages or hints of the maze-like fortress favored by Orochimaru, she feels even more unsafe here. And not just because at any moment a crazed experiment might realize they're here and jump out at them. The air is warmer here, which is strange, and tastes oddly metallic. Not the metal of blood, though, but of steel and something else. Sarada thinks it might be electricity, but she's never been close enough to a burst of lightning to know for sure. Konohamaru suddenly stops, causing Boruto to walk right in him. Hey, quiet, their sensei orders, frowning in concentration. Sarada notices beads of sweat on his forehead, and knows that the poison in his system is beginning to make a resurgence. She knows better than to bring it up to him, but it doesn't make her stomach twist any less. I think no, that's definitely. He picks up his pace, plodding ahead with intent. Hey! What the hell? Boruto hisses, hurrying to catch up. He shoots a questioning look back to Sarada, who can only shrug, mystified. Just keep sharp, is the only reply that they get. It's the only thing that he does say for the next 10 minutes, until they arrive in a towering, domed room. No, room doesn't really do it justice. More like an amphitheater, the walls stretch upwards, curving into one another to form a giant dome overhead. It looks as if someone hollowed out the actual mountain they have wandered into. A spindly, rickety staircase juts out of the walls, leading to the top in a spiral. Crude scaffoldings have been built upon these. Like makeshift stories, and grated slats form crude floors that obscure the upper levels somewhat. Still, Sarada can make out iron doors or panels lining the cave walls through the gaps in the metal. There is an all too familiar banging sound coming from behind these, almost obscured by the whir of machinery and sparking of stripped wires. The smell of burning rubber and rust mixes with the dank underground air, as well as the faint lightning smell of the crude electric lighting that has been set up along the entire stairway. This may have once been an Uchiha stronghold, but it's been turned into the lair of a madman. The sight is impressive, no doubt, and yet somehow, it's not what draws and holds Sarada's attention. In the direct center of the chamber, not 20 feet in front of them, is a familiar pale figure in blue robes. Mitsuki! Sarada cries, only just managing to keep herself whispering. It's a veritable feat, considering the sight before them. Her teammate and friend lies motionless on a gurney, robes dragged down to his hips revealing skinny arms and his wounded torso. It's been stitched up, crudely but effectively, but the skin remains the same obscene green that is climbing up the side of Konohamaru's neck. Mitsuki's arms are bruised and battered, snaked by wires and tubes that Sarada immediately identifies as 4 lines, dripping mysterious viscous yellow fluid into his body. Beside the gurney, a boxy-looking machine with dials and complicated levers hums. It too is connected to Mitsuki by 2 thick black tubes. One leads to some kind of monitor attached to his heart, the other to a bowl-shaped contraption on his head. All the while, he stares vacantly ahead of him, as if he isn't even aware they are there. It's not the unresponsiveness or the crude medical equipment that worries her. It's the color of his skin. Mitsuki is pale on a normal day, but right now, even in the dim light, he seems almost blue. It's as if he has been frozen, except in the temperate air that makes no sense. Blood loss, she realizes, stepping back in horror as her eyes catch something she didn't notice right away. Massive blood loss. The floor surrounding the gurney resembles a terrible dais. It has been carved with a giant, spiraling warding sigil that stretches out a meter's radius around Mitsuki. The lines are deeply, if hastily, gouged into the stone, but clearly this was done with purpose, namely to catch blood. 2 final tabs are fastened in the crooks of Mitsuki's arms, providing a steady drip of blood into the stone grooves. Sarada feels sick. There's no way he has enough blood to fill that whole sigil, Boruto whispers tensely. He's not, Konohamaru says grimly. These meds? Blood replicators. As soon as he's drained to the point of death, they give him these and it replenishes the blood levels. This guy's a sicko, Boruto growls. Come on, let's get him out of there, Sarada says. While she and Konohamaru get closer to unhook the pale boy, Boruto keeps a wary eye out. Hey, Mitsuki, come on, wake up, hey? He's been drugged. A lot, Sarada says, carefully pulling out the 4 lines. She gives it a sniff and makes a face. Sedatives should not smell like that. It's a high-powered tranquilizer, but I don't know which one. Something stronger than your average genin could take, I bet, Konohamaru mutters. Sarada nods, examining paler than usual skin. There are small nicks and wounds up and down her friend's arms, all along the location of major blood vessels. I think he was hooked up to something else, she says. She checks his pulse, focusing on the sluggish flow of his blood. Before the bloodletting down here, then why keep him alive? Insurance, Konohamaru says. In case whatever Jiken has planned doesn't work the first time, he still has a ready supply down here. I'm going to turn this asshole's head into a paperweight, Boruto snarls, and for a moment Sarada sees something raw and animalistic in her friend's face. She has a flash of Uncle Naruto, when he gave in to the 9-tailed fox within him, and shivers. Boruto might not possess the chakra of the demon fox. He might never, but she has a sudden presentiment that one day, her friend is going to become a very dangerous man. She jumps, staring down at Mitsuki. His yellow eyes are dull, the pupils dilates far too much to be normal. Hold on, Mitsuki, we've got you, she tells him, then addresses her teammates. We need to get him out of here. Even if he wasn't being used for Jiken's plans, if things go sour, he can't defend himself right now. No. Mitsuki murmurs, feebly shaking his head. Just stop talking, Boruto tells him. We've got this covered, okay? Between herself and Konohamaru, they manage to peel the heart monitor and metallic helmet off of his head. Blood drips down the sides of his temples as tiny needles retract. Sarada sustains a minor electrical shock as she removes the helmet, suggesting that Jiken was using not only chemicals but electromagnetic pulses to keep her friend docile. Forget a paperweight. I'm going to burn Jiken to ashes along with Taisoko for this. Konohamaru helps shift the boy into a sitting position, wincing when Mitsuki recoils from the touch. He's never been one for unnecessary physical contact in the past, but from the way his arms and fingers twitch, she suspects that if he were stronger he would lash out violently even at Konohamaru. It's okay, Mitsuki, she whispers to him. We're not going to hurt you. You're safe with us. We're your friends. Friends, he repeats, as if he has no idea what the word means. Oh man, what did he do to you? Boruto asks. He never receives an answer though. Mitsuki's drugged eyes go wide, training on a spot directly over Sarada's shoulder. She whips around, just in time to throw her hand upward, catching an incoming blade with her uninjured palm before it penetrates her neck. Sarada! A surprised grunt punches out of her, and agony explodes from the center of her hand through every nerve ending. Still, her attention focuses on Jiken, his mad grin inches from her face. With a wet squelch, he pulls away, the blade searing her bones and muscles as it goes, teleporting several feet away from them. Already she feels the corrosive burn of poison, sees the greenish web spreading beneath the blood pouring from the hole in her hand. Sarada! I'm okay, she chokes, though her legs buckle and she finds herself falling down on one knee. Konohamaru and Boruto are by her side now, shielding her as well as possible from further attack. As her eyes begin to blur, she watches Jiken's mad smile take a cruel twist. Well, he says, the chilling note of amusement echoing in the cavern, this scene looks familiar. Sarada sways, trying to remain upright. It's of utmost importance that she remain aware of everything going on all around her. Unconsciousness means the battle's lost. It means that she can't help her team and that Jiken will win. He can't win. We can't let him win. Sweat breaks out on her skin, and she feels chills running up her spine. Out of the corner of her eye she sees Mitsuki holding himself upright as well, sitting by unaided but leaning heavily on shaky arms. He, too, seems determined to fight despite his weakened condition. You're all going to die, Jiken informs them calmly. No. More than that. They'll cease to exist. The fight is just a stall tactic, but they've already lost. Like hell we have, asshole, Boruto growls. Oh, but you have, Jiken chortles. Lost. Years and years ago. It's far too late to change anything. His voice goes quiet, conspiratorial. And none of them are strong enough. Half strength or less, poisoned and beaten and not even a threat. But the girl. His expression twists into disgusted sneer. He will enjoy the satisfaction of finally being able to kill you. A thorn in his side since the boy allowed you to live the first time. You shouldn't flap your mouth like that. You still have to go through me, and Konohamaru-sensei. Even if you kill us, my dad is coming. He and Uncle Sasuke will stop you, Jiken smirks. I don't fear a future that will never arrive. That might be true, Konohamaru allows grimly, but then again, you've never met our Hokage. Jiken scoffs. A second later he is gone. When he reappears, he is directly behind Mitsuki and Sarada, swinging his blood-stained kunai at them. Before it can connect, a wall of earth springs up between them. The rock hums with chakra, and when the edge slams into it, there is a ping noise as it snaps right off. Before the blade can even hit the dirt, Jiken has teleported again and tries to come at the prone members of the team from another angle, hand grasping outward for Sarada's face. Again, another wall of earth shoots out of the ground, the speed of it making Sarada's hair fly into her eyes. The dance repeats several more times. Jiken makes a move, but Konohamaru uses Earth style to pull up a barrier. It's too strong to break through before the Jonin can catch up with him, and so Jiken has to flit away before he can make another attempt on the kids. He finally stops trying, pausing several feet away and glowering hatefully at Konohamaru. So I will have to kill you first, he decides. Try it, you. Boruto begins to step forward, palm already vibrating in preparation for a Rasengan, but his sensei takes hold of him by the shoulder. No, he orders. It's my responsibility to deal with this. Yours is to protect your teammates. But that's the shinobi way you've chosen, right? Their teacher interrupts. To protect the people that are precious to you. The apprentice of Sasuke Uchiha wouldn't put anything in front of that. That's not. Go on. They need you. What is he? Mitsuki rasps, still confused by the anesthesia flowing through his system. Konohamaru-sensei, you can't. Sarada protests. The poison, you'll make his spread faster. You kids, always with the disrespect, hey? He snorts. You're supposed to listen to your teacher. He is already striding forward, back straight and holding a kunai in each hand. The blades thrum with energy, and are abruptly blazing with visible blue chakra. You two might be the children of the legendary heroes of the Fourth Great Shinobi Wars, and this guy might have gotten his abilities from a Sannin. But I am the grandson of the third Hokage, and he was a god of shinobi. With a running start, Konohamaru lunges toward Jiken, blades in hand. At the same moment that the teleporter vanishes into thin air, Konohamaru abruptly explodes into a dozen exact copies of himself, each wielding a chakra blade. As Jiken rematerializes, the 13 figures begin to attack him simultaneously, swiping and slashing at him in quick, brutal movements. Each blow would be lethal if the pale man didn't vanish milliseconds before each impact. Every so often, Jiken appears behind a clone, dispersing it by whatever tactic he can, a ruthless twist of the neck, or crushing the face. Each clone disappears in a burst of smoke, weapon clattering dully to the ground. Sarada's brain stutters at that, dimly thinking that something isn't right. Wait, shadow clones don't lose their weapons. So, they shouldn't make noise, unless the weapons are real. Just as the thought enters her mind, Konohamaru makes a hand sign. The discarded kunai that surround the melee of clones shine with chakra, and slowly lift from the ground. As they hurtle through the air, they multiply tenfold. He gave all the shadow clones real weapons, Sarada realizes, and then he channeled chakra into them, multiplied them, Mitsuki adds, also sounding impressed despite his breathlessness. Boruto is gaping. Since when can he do that? Before the stunned gaze of his students, Konohamaru appears to transform. It's as if they have never seen him before. The joking, upbeat man they have been training under for months now is gone, replaced with a dangerous human whirlwind. Even though they have all heard the stories of his abilities, they have never been in a situation where he has needed to show them his skills. I understand now, Mitsuki says quietly. Understand what? Why Konohamaru-sensei is the one people say will succeed your father one day, and it seems Jiken finds this sudden change just as unexpected. After all, it was only by chance and the element of surprise that he rendered Konohamaru unconscious during their first meeting, but now that the Jonin knows what to expect, he isn't holding back at all. As Jiken deftly spins in midair, twisting his body to avoid the projectiles and popping into existence only to pop out again when another blade flies in his direction, he doesn't notice Konohamaru's clones have taken formation. 4 of them and the real Konohamaru surround him on all sides, equidistant from him in a bizarre pentagon shape. With chilling synchronicity, they all attack at the same time, expelling a coordinated blast of energy. Earth, fire, wind, water, and lightning. Sarada's knees wobble, but this time it's from shock at what she's seeing. She never realized that her teacher had mastered all 5 nature transformations. She wonders why it never occurred to her that he would have had to if he ever does intend to be Hokage, or that he would know how to perform Lord Third's Goten Direnden. Did he just get about 100 times cooler? Boruto asks quietly. I would say you have some competition, Mitsuki banters weakly. As the debris and dust clear, the barrage of elements dissipating into the surrounding air, the only thing remaining is a brittle approximation of a skeletal human form, blackened and twisted. Did he? Sarada asks. It looks like it, Boruto replies, and for a moment it seems like exactly what they expected has happened. Konohamaru has dealt with the ghostly clone at long last, tenacity finally winning over speed, but as the ashy form disintegrates in front of them, several feet away they see Jiken pop back into existence. His skin is blackened in places, and there are shiny burns beneath ripped clothing, but it's still clear that he survived. No, Sarada laments. Their enemy might have only just made it out from the attack, but it's clear his speed was still too much. I must admit, the pale man says darkly, teeth bared in a snarling smile. I'm impressed. But I don't feel like playing any longer. Especially not against the last efforts of a dying man. He whispers loudly. Your time is limited. All I must do is outlast him. This time it's Konohamaru who smirks. You can try. Again, the two of them lunge at each other. Black spots begin to overtake Sarada's vision. She presses her forearm over her eyes, trying to make the spots go away. She can practically feel the poison spreading through her veins, seeping into her cells. Even the tiny amount of self-healing ability she has built up tries to fight it off, She is being overwhelmed from the inside out. She slumps forward. Sarada, instead of hitting ground though, she falls against something soft. Black and pink run together in her periphery. A strong arm wraps around her back and shoulders. Boruto, we have to hurry, Mitsuki says. Chicken's right. It's all just a game of time. Take my belt. For what? A tourniquet. It's temporary, won't stop the poison, but will slow it. There has to be something else we can do. Boruto cries. Can't we, I don't know, drain the poison out somehow? If you want two of us to suffer from blood loss, instead of one. Don't worry about me, Sarada protests. You should be helping Konohamaru-sensei. She pauses, takes a few steadying breaths, and then continues. Unless he manages the perfect hit, he's going to run out of stamina soon. Then I have to get you out of here as soon as possible. Boruto determines. What are you talking about? I said I was going to protect you. And if we're all about to get killed anyway, that's what I'm going to die doing. Sarada's eyes widen in shock. That's the last thing she expected from him. Boruto, if you two are done being inopportunely overdramatic, Mitsuki drawls weakly. Arguing isn't going to change anything. We need a plan. Sarada feels Boruto tighten his grip on her. Well, I might have one, the Uzumaki boy says cautiously. But it's not a good one. Sarada laughs bitterly at that. How is that a change from usual? We need you, Mitsuki, Boruto goes on. If we're going to have a chance right now, whether it's to fight or run away, I'll do my best. You can't. He's too weak. Sarada protests. Right now, yeah, Boruto concedes. But if he takes some of my chakra, maybe. What? I saw my dad and Sasuke do it. They helped Kakashi open a portal, even when his chakra was depleted. Maybe I can do the same thing. Top you up with chakra so you can fight. In the meantime, I'll get Sarada out of here. The hell you will, she hisses. You have to go after Taisoko. If you, for once in your life, could you maybe not argue with me? For once in your life, could you maybe not be so stubborn? None of us are in the right shape to confront that woman, Mitsuki says, such a mixture of fear and loathing dripping in his voice that Sarada wonders just what happened while he was locked away here. But Boruto can at least follow the order given by our superior. But if we do this, you'll be severely weakened. Your chakra reserves are nowhere near the Lord's 7th. Yeah, but I don't need a lot of chakra to get Sarada out of here, Boruto says. If our dads are coming, I bet our moms are too. And Sakura can heal Sarada if I can get her to them. That's a big if, Sarada says, trying one last half-hearted attempt to get them to listen. Forget about me, there's no time, it's my decision. Yeah, but it's one thing to watch our dads do this chakra sharing thing, you don't even know how to. But I do, Mitsuki interrupts. He turns to Boruto. Are you sure? Boruto considers his friend for a moment, perhaps fighting off some last-minute sense of self-preservation, and then grins. Hell yeah, he says, reaching out to grasp Mitsuki's hand with his own. We're going to kick ass. Believe it, if you two die, I'll never forgive either of you, Sarada informs them sourly. With equal expressions of determination, Boruto and Mitsuki reach forward and grasp each other's hand's remaining hand. As their arms press together, chakra radiates from the two of them, intense and static. Sarada forgets sometimes that while she comes from an ancient bloodline, and has been carefully training to build up her own chakra reserves, both her teammates have a genetic predisposition to it. Boruto is an Uzumaki, and Mitsuki is, well, whatever he is. If her suspicions, and they are still only suspicions, there's no room in her head for more than that, are correct, he has inherited certain abilities she can't even fathom. Right now, the pale boy looks completely focused, while Boruto grits his teeth in concentration. With every second that passes, he becomes paler and paler. Sarada knows from experience that having chakra drawn out of you is uncomfortable, but for Boruto to be weakening so quickly, it means he is sharing a lot, and that Mitsuki was worse off than they believed he was. It doesn't help that all of this is temporary. Chakra replenishment is by no means a replacement for the blood he's lost. It's more like a shot of adrenaline to get him on his feet. Boruto might be sacrificing his strength right now, but it's Mitsuki that might end up dying if their stalling tactics fail. Sarada's eyes are beginning to blur, and she blinks rapidly to try to clear them. Much as she is tempted to activate her Sharingan to keep aware of what's happening, it would just overtax her already compromised system. As it is, she's having difficulty keeping her respiration even, trying not to panic when it feels like she can't get a full breath. The less rapidly she breathes, the slower her pulse will be and the slower the poison will travel. Damn it, if I had been faster and just dodged that stupid knife, I could be helping right now. Well, as much as anyone with two useless arms could help. Her attention flits back to Konohamaru, squinting as she tries to figure out what he's doing now. Her sensei makes a hand sign, and the ground beneath Jiken becomes slick and unsound, causing him to stumble just before he can make a jump into the air. As the pale man tries to regain his balance, Konohamaru inhales deeply, before expelling a giant cloud of dust or ash. It swirls in the air surrounding his opponent, obscuring his view of the surrounding cave. No, wait, that's not dust, that's… Without halting the onslaught, Konohamaru clicks his teeth together. There's a spark, and suddenly the dusty air ignites, turning the smoking cloud around Jiken into a fiery dome. Chakra-infused gunpowder? Inside, Jiken yells in pain, but seems incapable of moving beyond the ash pile. I guess it clings to his opponent, and ensure he actually gets him, even if he teleports away. And then Konohamaru takes another running leap, catapulting through the air, a big ball Sharingan growing ever larger in his hand. With a bellow, he shoves it downward in a finishing move that illuminates the whole chamber as it hits its target. Sarada jerks her head away, having to hide her eyes. Boruto and Mitsuki both hunch toward each other in an attempt to take cover from the aftershock, but neither release the other's hand. Giant, sprawling cracks split through the ground, shattering the bloodied seal around the gurney and machinery that Mitsuki was hooked up to earlier. Blood and water begin to stain the area around it, seeping out of the carefully drawn lines. Is that it? Is it over? Sarada chances a glance back to the melee, heart pounding despite her attempts to keep calm. Konohamaru stands tense as well, his back to her, as the dust settles. A dark figure becomes visible in the cloud of dust and ash, and Sarada's stomach tightens with dismay. No way. He survived. Worse than that, it seems. As Jiken becomes visible once again, she can perceive that he is covered in shiny red welts and burns. His clothing is torn and charred, beneath it showing bloody muscle and bone. But before there's any chance to celebrate that, the wounds begins to heal. No way. At first she thinks he might have some kind of healing factor, but then she realizes that the skin that is covering him is spreading from beneath the black marks. As every bit of pale skin gives way to gray, it takes on a damn sheen like that of a reptile or amphibian. Jiken's eyes become larger, the pupils turning yellow, and the veins in his face bulging. He doesn't resemble the fourth Hokage at all anymore, so much as some monster from a myth. Fingers join together, becoming 3 wicked, sickle-shaped claws on his hands, while his feet elongate, ripping through his sandals, and form into clawed hooves. I guess this isn't going so well for you, Konohamaru points out cockily, if you've had to activate your curse seal to survive. I admit, I've never had to, Jiken replies, his previously manic voice lowering into a baritone growl. To think, such an insect like you would dare to challenge her guardian. We're beyond challenging now, last I check. Pretty sure I'm winning, Konohamaru smirks. Seeing as how that seal you used Mitsuki for is broken now. I don't think you'll be pulling Orochimaru through after all. You will not say that name. Jiken propels himself forward, disappearing scant inches away and reappearing behind him. Konohamaru spins in time to duck an incoming blow, but Jiken vanishes again, now coming at him from the side. It's in his blind spot, but somehow Konohamaru anticipates the move and grabs his arm, flipping him over in a move meant to dislocate both shoulder and elbow. But within the blink of an eye, he's gone again. A knee hits Konohamaru in the back, then an elbow cracks against his jaw. Konohamaru doesn't go down, but he is forced to skid back a few feet to recover. A fist arcs forward, sickle-shaped claws aiming to rip into his chest. Konohamaru doesn't move fast enough, sacrificing evasion for the opportunity to grab the hand and twist, earning an angry, agonized howl of pain. You really think this was the only seal? He spits. You think I wouldn't take everything into account? The goddess sees all, and we know every probability. Account for this. Konohamaru shoots back, pulling a Sharingan together in the air and shoving it toward Jiken. The enemy dodges once more, and Sarada swears, both at his continued evasion and his words. She knew that it seemed like Mitsuki had more blood taken from him than was collected in the blood seal. Most likely, there's another somewhere else. The most obvious place would be far above them. Many jutsu that create doorways require some kind of marker or second port of entry somewhere else. If the one Konohamaru destroyed is here, chances are the second one is far above. Maybe even carved into the dome-like ceiling of this place. Unfortunately, it's too far for her to see in her present state, and with the rest of the chamber obscured with all the scaffolding. Maybe I can just take a peek with the Sharingan. If I know where it is, I can tell. Boruto groans and falls forward, only just catching himself on his hands. Hey! Sarada gasps, and then her eyes fly to Mitsuki. Are you guys? But her teammate remains quiet, head bowed and perfectly still as he tries to acclimate to the sudden, unfamiliar chakra. Sarada reaches out to steady them both, when Boruto's head whips up and he cries out, "No!" Sarada turns, just in time to see Konohamaru seize in midair, as if someone has stabbed him in the back. For a moment she thinks it's Jiken, but the monstrous man is dragging himself to his feet down below. As Konohamaru clutches at his chest and plummets to the ground, Sarada realizes his body has finally given out. "Konohamaru-sensei!" She cries, trying to stand, but unable to make her limbs function. A dizzy parade of spots swims in front of her eyes. Jiken struts forward. In a way it's almost a grotesque skip, and simpers, "Time is on my side after all." Giggling at this, he raises his knee, angling one cloven foot downward to either crush or clash Konohamaru's throat. He never gets the chance. As the ground beneath him erupts, snakes surging out of the ground to wrap around his arms and torso. Crackling yellow electricity sparks from Sarada's left, and when she looks up she is shocked to see Mitsuki is once more on his feet. But it's Mitsuki as she has never seen him before. He is furious. "You poisoned me," Mitsuki snarls at Jiken as the snakes holding him in place tighten their grip. "Stuck needles into my veins, hooked me to machines, when I swore I would never let that happen again." He waves a hand and the snakes holding Jiken tighten convulsively, dragging him away from Konohamaru's motionless form. Jiken grunts in pain, the sound of bones cracking, features narrowing in focus, and then pop, he is gone. When he lands staggering several yards away, out of breath and with one arm clutching his ribs, he eyes Mitsuki with a new understanding. So, the child is not just his blood, but one of his toys as well. "I am not a toy," Mitsuki tells him with chilling promise. "And you'll find keeping me alive all this time was a very grave miscalculation." What happens next is a flurry of motion Sarada thinks she would have a hard time tracking even if she could activate her Sharingan. She's never truly seen this side of Mitsuki before, and as fascinated and disturbed as she is by it, she can't allow herself to get caught up in watching it. Slowly, heavily, she drags herself closer to Boruto. "Are you okay?" "I'll live," her friend replies through gritted teeth, then lets out a weak laugh. "If we ever get out of this, your mom is teaching me how to heal stuff too." "This is bullshit. No one asked you to play the hero," she shoots back tensely. "No one asked you," he counters. "Seriously, you survive a whole day of broken bones and almost drowning and whatever the hell else happened. And you get taken out by a poison knife? Shut up, idiot." Yeah. An enraged yell from above where Mitsuki and Jiken are throwing each other into walls, dragging their fight farther and farther up the ramparts that line the chamber. "I knew he was good, but not that good. He'll run out of steam soon," Sarada warns grimly. "Which is why we need to leave, before his distraction stops working. Give me a moment, to get back feeling in my feet. I'll get you out of here, believe it." "No, you need to just get you out of here. You'll be faster on your own. Find our parents if they're there." I can stay with Konohamaru-sensei." "Sarada, shut up and stop arguing something we've already decided. Besides, if you die, I die." Her eyes widen. "Wha? And getting murdered by Uncle Sasuke and Aunt Sakura? Totally not on my list of things to do today," Boruto declares, forcing himself to his feet. He reaches for her, and before she can protest, has lifted her into his arms. "I can walk. Less movement is better," Boruto cuts her off. "Let's go." But before he takes even one step toward the exit or she can manage one last half-hearted bit of protest, an agonized shriek fills the air. Boruto and Sarada both stare upward to their teammate. Mitsuki's fingertips glow with purple flame, a technique Sarada recognizes as a means of disrupting the flow of an enemy's chakra. Jiken is in the process of a downward cleave, clearly attempting to take Mitsuki's head clear off, but remains frozen at the purple chakra flaring against his stomach. A beat later, the teleporter all but shrieks in agony, diving back and clutching at his abdomen. Sarada can't see it tell for sure what seal Mitsuki used, but she suspects Jiken won't be teleporting again anytime soon. He knows it, too, judging from the pained expression on his face. His entire form tenses up, as if he's trying to vanish, but can't get beyond the seal anchoring him. A normal person would be on his knees by now, but Jiken remains upright. In fact, he claws at his abdomen in frustration, causing bloody welts there. Clever, he spits at Mitsuki. Then he abruptly begins to laugh. But far from over. Mitsuki makes a move forward, but Jiken jumps nimbly out of his way, backing farther and farther up the rickety stairwell. The damned serve their purpose, don't they? Jiken giggles, the sound high and manic. He left them, as he left me. Left you. Abandoned. But I found a use for them. And even if I die here, she will bring me back. You need to shut up now, Mitsuki states flatly. And you need to make a decision, Jiken purrs, flourishing his bloody clawed hands as if to tick off options. Kill me or save your friends. Before anyone can ruminate on that, he pivots and shoves his hand against something on the wall nearby. There's a creaking noise, like a long-unused lever being pulled downward. Seconds later, the room begins to echo with the sound of scraping metal. The banging noises that Sarada heard earlier suddenly disappear, replaced instead with the ominous, snarling she's only heard once before. It suddenly makes perfect sense what Chicken was talking about. Oh no, she whispers, staring up into the distance as dozens of shadows move across the ramparts, all along the spiraling staircase. They loom over the edge of the scaffolding, growling and snarling and swiping at each other. She would think that the dome of the mountain were filled with very large bats, if it weren't for the familiar spread of curse marks breaking out across their skin when they are hit by the light. It's at that moment that several of the once human creatures notice their audience below. Boruto's hold on her tightens and he says quietly, "This isn't gonna be good, is it?" Sarada can only swallow convulsively in response.